Hey friends, welcome. We're looking at Stella by Starlight. Such a great tune. One of my favourite tunes, one of the first tunes I ever learnt. Such a beautiful one. And we're going to be looking at a whole bunch of these chords. We're going to be looking at the dominant 7 sharp 5 chord as well, and what we can play along with that for solos, because I don't think I've actually covered that in any of my tutorials so far. So yeah, what a great opportunity to do it today. All right, let's get stuck into it. We've got E minor 7, flat and 5 there. Now it's got the 4 or the 11 in the melody. Kind of works nicely. You could maybe do something like this for your A7, flat 9. I've added in the sharp 5 there, which works nicely. The melody comes up as C real soon, you know. Right, there it is there, there's the melody, the F there. So you could do that, maybe you could do something like that kind of a shape there. You should think of that as a C sharp, not a D flat, when you're looking at an A chord. I'm going to play, I might add in that 9 there, and then an F13, that kind of sounds pretty cool there. All right, so we're heading into, we go from F7 to the F minor 7. It becomes a 9 when we add in that G. All right, you could add in, that's an A flat 13 if I play it like that. It's just 3 notes actually. I'll get rid of the sustain pedal so we don't see all the notes there. That's actually A flat 13, right? So you've got a G flat, you got your C and the F, right? If I add in the A flat bass note, you can see that it is an A flat 13, right? So that can be a nice little one. You know, you could do it that way. You could just now you don't have to play bass notes, right? Most of the time, I actually don't play a lot of bass notes. You could. See, I haven't played any bass notes yet. That's F minor 7, B flat, almost. All right. What I had there, I had played that B flat 7, right? You know, if I add the D, it becomes a B flat 7, right? And I played an E in the melody. That kind of sounds cool, doesn't it? An E chord, an E7 basically, which is the tritone substitute chord that you could use, but it just kind of really sounds cool when you play, you know, one chord in one hand, you know, like one you know, the chord, but then play the melody as the tritone substitute. I mean, that's something I like doing sometimes. All right, we've got that E minor 7 and that A7 flat 9 again. Might keep that C there, which gives us our 13. Where we're going to the F chord. I don't know if I want to play that. Should I? Yeah, I just feel like when you're playing that B flat, you just want to not play that A, you know? So maybe you could double it up there in the melody. I don't know. Well, that's sharp 9. Let's go to that flat 9 there. All right, add the D in there, you'll see that it is, yeah? Cool. Now here comes that G7 sharp 5. It's written here as G plus 7, all right? So what that means is G augmented, all right? So there's G augmented, D sharp, not E flat, right? And if we add the 7, can also be written as G7 sharp 5. It's a dominant chord with a sharp 5, right? So that's the E flat, right? Which, you know, really, if we want to be technically correct, it should be D sharp, right? All right, I'm going to sort of do some chordals there, right? So we're just sort of making some chords up that kind of fit, you know, as you know, I guess what I'm trying to say here is most chords we kind of build as thirds, right? But you get a very different sound when you build with fourths, and you kind of move them around. and it's quite ambiguous. Now I know Cordy's coming up and telling us what chords they are, but they fit with, all of those fit with C minor. You know, so you could kind of do something like that. Here's that that augmented chord. If I add the F. All right, moving on there, the A flats. Remember we did that A flat shape like that before. All right, so that's I'm just kind of doing B flat major 7 there, but I'm adding in that sharp 11 sometimes. So it's kind of like a C chord, right, on top, if you know what I mean, like C chord on top of the B flat. It's got that kind of feel, right? There's the A flat. You can do that. It's a really kind of a cool sound in my opinion. What I like about thinking of chords sometimes as slash chords is that you can almost, I don't know, it's like our ear can hear it. If you put like a C chord in root position and then you add in some other notes underneath it, right? You can kind of hear the two chords kind of mashing and kind of creating what we know is also extensions. You know, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, where 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, sharp 11, and 13. You know, that's what you're playing, right? But if you think of it like that, you know, Cordy actually kind of works it out, you know. That I'm trying to play a C chord on top of B flat, right? Basically, right? So anyway, you can think of it like that, and you know, you could play the B flat just kind of like that, and then play a C chord on top, if that, you know, things like that. I guess it's kind of a little bit what I was doing with that B flat 7 chord before, and did the E7 sound. You could even play the E. What's it called? Our fifth mode, which is the E Mixolydian. Oh my goodness, where was my brain there? All right. Anyway, let's keep moving on. Okay, so we've got these cool chords here at the end. Beautiful sounds. Again, it's a minor 7 flat 5. So cool. All right, let's have a look at some of the things that you might want to use to improvise on that. So we go to the start. Let's have a look at the start there. The minor 7, flat and 5, and the A7 flat 9. Now we're really in the key of D harmonic minor just for that little start, right? So a minor 7 flat 5 to a flat 9, a dominant flat 9, is actually the 2-5 in the minor key. So we're actually in this key, right? The harmonic minor, particularly with the A chord, is, you know, because there is the C sharp, right? I don't know if that kind of makes sense, but hopefully that does, right? So when you're doing the E minor 7 flat 5, if you think of it as the second mode of the D harmonic minor, right? So D harmonic minor. Oops, yep. All right. Now that's also called the Locrian sharp 6, or a natural 6 sometimes. Look, it really doesn't matter if you know what it's called or not. You just need to know how to do it. All right, you can get that kind of a sound. So you can go. All right, if that makes sense, you could do that if you wanted to. You could also just think of it as a Dorian and then flatten the fifth, you know, like if you're thinking of it as a Dorian, you know, so. Just the main thing that really didn't work there is the B natural. All right, so you could do that. You could leave out that C sharp, but what's coming next is that C sharp, right, when we do the A chord. So we really do need to, you know, have that C sharp in there when we get to that. Now, if you want to get away from the harmonic minor sound though, if you're like, oh, you know, it just sounds a little bit too, you know, harmonic minor, right? Then you might want to use when you come to the A7 flat 9, you might want to use the mix, the blues. Sorry, the I can't remember the names of them today. Isn't that terrible? All right. It's the half whole or scale, or also known as the diminished blues. There it is. All right, the brain is now working. Oh, it's quite late at night actually, so when I'm doing this. All right, it's the diminished blues scale. Okay. So you could use that. Now there's only 3 diminished blues scales because it's made up of a semitone, then a tone, then a semitone, then a tone, or a half step, then a whole step, then a half step, then a whole step. So you actually only need to learn 3. I learnt C when I was first getting into it. Like, so this is obviously A, right? All right, but it's the same as C, right? All right, so you can learn C, F, and G. They would be the 3 that I recommend that you learn, and then you can just move them around for whatever it is that you want, right? So that's the diminished blues scale. You could use that there, so you could go from the you know, it kind of slightly moves away from that harmonic minor kind of a sound, right, if you wanted to do that. The other thing you could treat with the A7 flat 9, you could go, well, okay, well, it's a dominant chord, right? So I'm going to play the Mixolydian mode, all right, but instead of having a B, you have the B flat. And then you just do the Mixolydian mode. So that kind of works quite nicely as well. All right, so there's quite a lot of options there. Now, of course, always use your ears. Always use your ears. You're really actually using music theory, music knowledge, right, just to confirm what we're doing, or if your ears aren't being able to pick up what it is that you want to play, then, you know, at least you know, okay, that's not going to be too bad, right? If you're playing a C chord, for example, you know, and you play and you think you're hearing the note E, and you're wrong, you know, as in you weren't hearing the note E, you were hearing the note G in your mind, right? It's not going to be a disaster, is it, if you play E? That's kind of the point of having some music theory. Now, if you're playing a C chord and you think you hear the G sharp, you know, that's going to be a little bit more disastrous if it's not right, you know. That doesn't really kind of work unless you're using it as kind of like a tension note that you want to resolve, you know, or I don't know, up to you, right? You know, on that, but you might hear that, and you might be correct. But what I'm saying is, sometimes we can use our music theory, our music knowledge, and we can go, all right, what I think I'm hearing is an E, and you know, my music theory, knowledge, and understanding tells me that if I play E when I'm playing a C chord, that note will sound fairly non-offensive. It's not going to be offensive to too many people. All right, so let's keep moving on anyway. You got the C minor to the F7, and so the best way to kind of treat that is like you're in the key of B flat for a couple of bars. You know, you can think of the C minor if you want. Sorry, the C dying going to the F Mixolydian, which is the same scale. Now, of course, you would think B flat's coming next, but it's not, right? It's you know, we're now changing key again, and we're heading into the key of E flat major 7. We've got a 2, 5, 1 into the key of E flat major 7. So it is worthwhile thinking of it as E flat major 7 for a little while. It probably just helps, you know, to do that. When you get to the A flat 7, we have actually changed key already. Whenever we have a dominant key, that means it's going to be the 5 of a key, right? So always that's the case. There's only ever one dominant key in every scale. In every scale, you've got a couple of like if we're building from the major, if we build up chords from the major, right? We're going to be doing a couple of major chords. We've got 3 minor chords, we've got 1 diminished, and we've got only 1 dominant. So whenever there's a dominant, that has to be the 5, right? So even if it's a dominant 7 flat 5, you know, that tells us we're in a minor key. If it's just normal dominant, it tells us we're in a major key. And you know, sometimes we mix and match between those two. And when we go from minor to major quickly like that, we call that mixture. Anyway, so we've got an A flat 7, and then we head into the B flat. All right, we've already talked about these notes before. I'm going to use here, I love this voicing here, all right? It's 1, 3, 7, 9. I call it a closed voicing, right? And I love it working with the open voicing. Right, there's the open voicing of G, right? Now you can't play it too low. If you get down here, you know, it's just not going to work. It is quite a really nice sound, but you do have to be, you know, here's a dominant version of it, right? Right, going to the open voicing. So anyway, I like it because that melody is kind of clashing in there too. You might not like it. Right, if you don't like that clash, maybe you could go something a little bit more easier to listen to there, or something like that, or just, you could do that too, but the clash doesn't seem to be as much there if you do it like that. What are we going to B flat? All right, so you've got those ones there. So you've got you've got Dorian and Mixolydian. All right, so let's move on. We might just move on really quickly to the G plus 7, or the G augmented 7, or the G7 sharp 5. Okay, now there's not a lot of modes and scales that really kind of work with this naturally without kind of tweaking them a little bit, right? So what we do is we pick our modes, right? They based from the major scale, right? There's the second mode, third mode, right? And we do that for all the major scales, right? We also do them for the harmonic minor, the melodic minor, and sometimes the natural minor as well. All right. So sorry, not the natural minor, the harmonic major. All right. And so sometimes we kind of get some of these things going from there, but this one really is kind of a bit of a special one in some ways. And I was always taught to use the whole tone scale whenever I see a dominant 7 sharp 5. Okay, and not if we're talking about if there's a flat and 9 in there, it's a little bit different. But if you're just looking at sharp 5, this chord here. I'll just play it a little bit more simply there. That chord there, whole tone scale. All right, now whole tone scale is really easy if you don't know it, because all you need to do is go up the every single note is a tone, right? Tone, 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 tone. And you know how I said there was 3 diminished blues scales? There's 1 chromatic scale. There is only 2 whole tone scales. So if I started on B, I would be playing and go tone, 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 tone. I'm going to end up with the same notes that I just played from the G, right? So G, A, B, C sharp, D sharp, whole tone scale are the same ones, right? So, but if you go down a semitone or up a semitone, you've got your other whole tone scale as well. So you might want to think of it like this, a C whole tone scale and a G whole tone scale. Now on piano, one of the easy things to think about with this is that it's either the 2 black notes or it's the 3 black notes. Okay, so that's really kind of pretty helpful on piano, right? You don't have to think, oh, is it, when you're playing G, do I play any of these? No, you don't. You just play white notes around here and you play these black notes, right? And you don't play the corresponding white notes with that, right? So you got this sound, and then it goes to that C minor. So, how would you do it? I used to kind of do a little bit like that. I kind of adding in some extra notes there, bit of tension there, but basically kind of using that whole tone kind of a sound. Now that's really kind of cool. I really dig that. What you could do as well is tweak some other scales as well. So if you wanted to tweak the dominant 7 scale, the Mixolydian scale, right, and then just add in a sharp 5, get rid of a 5, right, you could do that, you know. So here's your normal G7 scale. Oh, I just lost my keyboard there for a sec. Oh, we're back and gone again. All right, so we'll try and ignore that just for a second there. So we've got our G7 scale. All right, instead of playing the D, we can play the, you know, that kind of works if we're playing this scale, right? You know, that's not too bad. Now you might want to add in the C sharp, kind of, so you're not getting this interval here. The diminished. Sorry, it's the the augmented second actually. The augmented second. So one, you could do this. Now, really, honestly, there's one note different from the whole tone scale, and that was the E. Okay, so. So it depends if you want that whole tone sound, play that C sharp. If you don't, play the C. All right, I'm going to leave it there because my keyboard is going crazy, but hopefully that gives you something to work on. And there's not too much more in there that probably, if you're having a go at Stella, you probably can play some of those things already. Obviously, this is a little bit more of an advanced tutorial. So hopefully this is helpful for you guys. I hope so. And, you know, subscribe and say good day in the comments if you would like to. You're the best. All right, enjoy.